Hey guys, this is Jabran Nassif at the Keyed Up podcast. I got Sharath with us in the house. So yeah, thanks so much for joining, man. We kind of connected on LinkedIn. I was very kind of interested in what you do and your topics and discussions and thoughts about the metaverse, which is talked about in the tech world and in music and other industries that kind of bleed into each other. But yeah, man, how you been? Thanks for so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because when you reached out and I checked your podcast, I was like, oh my God, he talks to more cooler people than me. But yeah, happy to be on the show. I'm what I call passionate about technology and the future. I'm what they call an early adopter of new technologies because I always love to see the potential in new technologies. And I think the metaverse has gotten a bad rep because of Facebook, and people don't understand the metaverse is not just Facebook. It is way more than that, and there's many different facets about it. So when I had the opportunity at Infocom last year, which is the Audiovisual and Integrated Experience Association show in Las Vegas, they're like, hey Sharath, you just joined Accenture. I know you were at Crestron and AVSPL, and now you joined this company with over 700,000 people globally, worldwide. And then can you talk about the metaverse to AV people? I was like, metaverse to the AV people? I don't know if they'll get it.
Yeah, this is new.
yeah. It's like, because like the AV industry, and I've been preaching it, is very slow for adoption of any new technologies. If you explain a technology now, it'll take them 10 years to be like, okay, I'll try it, right?
Yeah.
Like all right. So very excited to be on the show and just discuss, I guess, my new passion, as I would say.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, man. It's really interesting. So I'll just cut right into it. But
yeah,
people have been discussing this for the past few years, especially I would say the last 2 years about like the metaverse. So I'll first ask, like, what is it to you?
So I really honestly started looking into everything on the metaverse because my company Accenture put out a Tech Trends 2022 called Meet Me in the Metaverse. And they don't call it just the metaverse. They call it a metaverse continuum, which is just a enhanced ability of what we're used to using the internet, but pushing it to now change how we live life and how people do business with all the technologies that's available. So everyone's always used to the 2D world, and now you have the 3D world that's part of it. But now there's other aspects of the metaverse, which is artificial intelligence, blockchain, digital twins, edge technologies, and it's even being pushed and pushed. And just this week, a new software, I don't know if you heard about it, the Open Chat GT thing, where it's like this virtual chat thing and you can ask it any questions and it outputs all this stuff, has just been going crazy on my Twitter. So it's no longer just one thing where everyone says metaverse. I don't want Facebook and all my data. I'm like, oh no, it's not just,
Mark Zuckerberg.
So like my whole goal for 2023 is to disconnect metaverse from Facebook in people's minds and start thinking about the possibilities, because I'm not here to sell the solutions, the technologies to you. I'm just here to get a person curious and then use their own curiosity to look into what you can possibly do.
Yeah, and that's interesting you said about just people thinking it's just Facebook, because it's not just putting a headset on and
no.
Laser games or whatever, the sword, whatever, labor.
Yeah. And then people are always like, oh, Sharath, what do you do in the metaverse? Do you put your headset on and then, play games? I'm like, no, actually, when I joined Accenture, I was onboarded as a employee in the metaverse because of COVID, and you couldn't have all those people. So at the time, I think 100 people were being onboarded, and they said, create your avatar. And then we'll meet you in the metaverse. So so my first week at Accenture was in this virtual world of understanding what the company does, the HR policies. You're walking around this virtual environment. And I'm meeting people from Spain, I'm meeting people from India, I'm meeting people from China, and all these different locations of the world of people are just starting in the company. But we're all located in this virtual world and we're all learning at the same time. So it was kind of cool starting your job in this virtual world and meeting people.
That is, I kind of explain more of that, because I'm thinking you go into this world, right? And it kind of sounds silly, but how do you like move around? Or is there like
Right.
basic
So
controls or?
yeah, so you can use your keyboard to move around.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay.
Accenture also partnered with I believe Meta, and everyone was able to sign in to get a free virtual reality headset, the Oculus. So you can put your Oculus on, use your
Okay.
hand, and then with the button you can press, and then try to kind of transport you over there into the location. But it was pretty cool because it's like you're going into a world and it's like an actual mixer because you don't know anybody,
Yeah.
and then your avatar is standing next to somebody and your avatar moves. You're like, hey, what's happening? I'm Sharath. And they're like, hey, I'm blah 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 from here. And then the weird thing about the metaverse is,
Mhm.
you know how when you're in public, you can hear people talking around you,
Yeah.
right? So you have that spatial audio where you can hear from there and there and there, depending on how close someone is.
Sure.
That was happening in there as well, right?
Oh, interesting.
So I'm standing there as an avatar, and there's two people maybe over there in this virtual world talking, and I can kind of hear what they're talking about. So I tiptoe over there. I'm like, hey, did I hear you guys talking about the NBA and talking about the Brooklyn Nets? I'm like, oh, I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan too, right? So like that was kind of trippy to me because you're so used to stereo audio in like these
Yeah.
2D worlds, and then it was kind of that was really interesting to me when I got there.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's crazy. I'll tell a quick story. There was one time, this was back in, because, there's a lot of, I guess, VR experiences in the
Hmm.
art world too,
Yeah,
besides gaming. And
yeah,
this was 2016 in New York. It was
yeah,
at the Whitney Art Museum. And they had a certain exhibit. I saw a bunch of VR headsets,
yeah,
and there's people waiting in line to do this experience.
yeah, yeah.
I was waiting in line. I was like, I'm excited. There's a bunch of people, like we're ready to do this. And the lady did some instructions, like, if you feel uncomfortable, like this is disturbing. I was like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? And she goes, if you feel uncomfortable, like,
Just take
remove
off.
the
Yeah,
headsets.
yeah.
It's like, oh, wow. Okay, let me try this out. I like horror movies and stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whatever the hell this is, let me see what's going on. I put it on, and it was so realistic. I was in this world. I mean, I was like looked like New York
Mhm.
City, blue
Yeah, yeah.
sky. You looked up, you see like an airplane going, like
Hmm.
birds, everything. I looked down, I was wearing different shit. Like, I was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
another person. And all of a sudden this car pulls, there's these two guys talking. You kind of see like that
Yeah,
something
yeah.
starts happening. And there's these two guys talking, and then a car pulls up, and one of the guys opens a trunk, gets a baseball bat, and starts literally beating the guy.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So it's like you're just like, what is happening? Yeah,
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 man. I
yeah.
was like, dude, this is,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah,
really, I mean, super realistic. I mean,
yeah.
these guys were almost not even avatars, like kind of holograms.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was insane. And I remember that towards the end, taking my headset off, there's like 30 people at the beginning. And when
Everyone's
I
like,
took it off, there's me and like two other people. It's
yeah,
like
yeah. Because everyone's like,
everyone
I'm
else
out.
left. It was like, I'm not
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
this.
I mean,
But
speaking about those experiences, like even with
mhm.
my Oculus headset, so for fun, I like to play in like a adult softball league,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I hate going to the batting cage because it's so far from me. Let me see if there's an app in this world. So there's an actual app called Win VR where you can bat against actual MLB pitchers to get better at your actual hitting, right?
Oh,
Because
that's cool.
you're
Yeah.
timing. So like I'm in my office room and I got my headset on. And my wife just sees me like just swinging. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting better at softball." Okay, right? So it's like the metaverse to me is just opportunity, right? If I were going to define the metaverse as opportunity to change your life, in using technology in a different manner, just so like to correlate that to my what I do for work in business.
Mhm.
The other part of the metaverse, what I really love because it's part of my work, is called the digital twin. So imagine your home. Your home is a physical being. Now imagine if we scanned your home with a 3D scanner. We
Mhm.
scanned all the pipes in your home. We scanned all the electrical in your home. We scanned everything that your home has. And then now we digitally create a twin of your home. So now you can run simulations in your home. Let's
Oh,
say you
wow.
want to say, hey, what will my electricity bill if I run the HVAC at 72 degrees for 3 months straight? What will I do if I have automated lights that turn off my lights? How much will that lower? But now take that idea
Hmm.
and scale it to massive buildings, skyscrapers. So think about just the digital twin. Now IBM did a very cool thing with digital factories. So all
Okay.
these automated robot factories, and they run simulations on
Oh, wow.
if we change this one like screwdriver that the person uses, how much more faster will we get the cars out? And they run the simulation of the digital twin, and then they run it, and then they do it in real life. So that's what excites me in my business category
Yeah.
about the metaverse, and it's really fun for me to just research that stuff.
That sounds interesting. This digital twin. So you thinking this is basically almost a way more advanced version of 3D printing, but
Mhm.
easier, more convenient, more
Yeah, so it's
virtual.
so it's not 3D printing. It's a digital application of, so think about a living breathing thing but in the digital world. So think about your
Sure.
building as a digital this aspect, right? And then you like every morning you're like, all right, how's my whole building doing? And then your digital twin will say, if you don't replace your air filters on floors 55, 56, 57 in 3 days, you will lose this much money in 6 months. And it
I
tells
see.
you automatically because it's using artificial intelligence and learning from the data points of the building. So the
Okay.
building has HVAC sensors, the building has people sensors, the building has sensors for air quality, and it takes all that data, and now your digital twin is now giving you insights so you don't have to deal with future issues. So it's super crazy to think how you
Yeah.
can get ahead of those issues. Otherwise you're dealing with logbooks of when you have to change your air filters in your space, or when you have to change the HVAC unit or things like that. Or the artificial intelligence digital twin can be like, hey, you can save $500,000 this year by lowering the temperature on floor 67 by 3 degrees,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah. So
And
it's
it's
really
doing all that automatically for you.
sure.
And you, as a person that owns the building, are not spending money to do that research where it's doing it. But the cost is all up front, so it looks like a big, massive cost up
Hmm.
front, as opposed to people not paying for all that and then gradually paying for it on a longer period, the same cost. But this is the type of stuff that excites me. And when I go to audiovisual industry events, I'm talking about this. Some
Yeah.
people look at me like, why? We're still putting like speakers and microphones in boardrooms, and think, I'm like, I know, but just go a little further, just a little further in that thought process, see what the possibilities are. But yeah, some my colleague just tweeted, Sharath just convinced me over cocktails that I need to look at the metaverse, and start digging my little curiosity probes into it.
Yeah, nice. And people, when you hear people talking about like the general public, they're kind of, maybe concerned, like, will this I think it's really fun and interesting, like do you think it will expand to like, you know, go into a grocery store or a doctor visit or, or even
I
going attending a sports game?
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you think about that?
I I think it will expand, but there needs to be some sort of group consortium
Mhm.
that kind of looks at what are the dangers of this, right? Because that's what's missing right now. There's no like group that kind of says, all right, artificial intelligence is cool, but
Yeah.
can we check the limitations on racial bias or on different biases that artificial intelligence might have, because it was built by people, and people have biases, and artificial intelligence doesn't know about biases. So there has to be an overarching group, especially in the health field, and that's why the health field really isn't really into that just yet, because of HIPAA and compliances and data security. So I think eventually
Mhm.
I will be able to go into an Amazon store, and my refrigerator, which is connected to the network, will know what fruits and milk I need, because my Apple Watch shows that my potassium levels are low, so I need more bananas. That is my coolest future ever, where I don't have to kind of write down my shopping list, right? So I think that is the future. But there is a lot of work that needs to be put into how to use it sustainably and how to use it in a respectful manner at the same time, as I would say, so you don't get a Terminator 2 type of issue happening in
Sure.
the world.
So I Robot, Will Smith.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. Yeah, and even going to like there's this museum they just opened up here in New Orleans. It's called View New Orleans. It's at a
Mhm.
rooftop.
Yeah,
Even going there, they have a lot of it's not metaverse stuff, but they have a lot of advanced audiovisual stuff you see in the movies when you like you
yeah.
move your finger and you can swipe in the different maps
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
really cool like haptic sound stuff where you can like click
Hmm.
point your finger and play different sounds of the city and the history and stuff. So
Yeah. And then the art world is going into it as well, where art and technology are meeting for these immersive art experiences. And everyone now talks about the Van Gogh art experience that people
yeah,
go to in New York City, right? Everyone knows about it. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. I'm like, yeah, but that's been around for a while. But so it's gonna take some time, because when you start talking about blockchain, when you start talking about Web3, when you start talking about digital twin, it's kind of just way too much for people to kind of comprehend that can happen. But I'm like, well, the internet wasn't the internet, but I wasn't around when the internet first came out, so I
yeah,
wonder what people were saying when the internet first came out, right? Like what do you mean I can
terrifying.
act?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like what do you mean I can access any sort of information with connected computers all around the world? So that's what Web3 is, right? So
Mhm.
Web 2 is the introduction of internet and Google and all these big companies putting together with data. And then Web3 is you as an individual kind of owning that data and then moving forward. But like I say, I'm not a metaverse expert.
Mhm.
I'm just super curious about it. And
Sure.
also, it doesn't hurt that my company is also deep into the metaverse and using it as a business to push companies forward on how to solve their problems in real time. So it's fun, and it makes work fun. And I love bringing that aspect into the AV industry, as I would say, because I think the AV industry has a big opportunity to be leaders in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like when you mentioned earlier when you're in that virtual metaverse
Mhm.
job interview process, you
Yeah,
heard
yeah, yeah.
the different sounds and that could be so
Yeah,
advanced.
there's so many people in the AV industry with such deep audio knowledge that I still can't comprehend, because that's something
Mhm.
that's not easy for me to comprehend for some reason. That where they're just so passionate about audio, I'm like, you need to take that passion and then be part of the future instead of holding on to the past, right?
Mhm.
Because well, that's what I've noticed is people that have been in the industry for 20 plus years, they're holding on to everything that's happened in 20 plus years. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, use your knowledge and push the future. Like use the young generation that's pushing the with technologies and use it. So that's my other passion is trying to get these generations to talk to each other, where I've seen a little like
Educating.
nah, yeah, just
Yeah.
talk to each other. It's cool,
Talk
it's
to about
fun.
it. Yeah. And
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
that, like when it comes to like the opportunity and the business side, like why should, like people, investors, companies should, or why should people and companies, invest in this new world, this new internet, the metaverse?
Oh, because in the next 10 to 20 years, it's going to be I think around $40 billion industry.
Wow.
Yeah, right. So it's so you're talking about get on the ship now, learn about it, so that by the time the industry is ready for all the experts, you're there to kind of utilize the technology that's available, right? So I'll give you a prime example in the
Mhm.
financial world. When AWS and Azure came out with their
Yeah.
cloud computing, the financial world didn't want to get into it because all the security protocols and aspects, which totally makes sense, right? You want to be, but now the financial world, they're all seeing the benefits of cloud computing in financial tech and all these programs. So I'm just saying for companies to not play catch up of the technologies. I'm
Yeah.
not saying implement it. I'm just saying use this time to understand it and then see if it fits into your business portfolio to push your business forward into the future, because utilize technology available. So that's the only thing. I'm not saying go out and make your own metaverse or go out and get a digital twin, right? I'm just saying, like, go do a little bit more research into the applications available, and then look at your business in the next 5, 10 years,
Mhm.
and then see if it fits into anything that your business can utilize, and then start the training of your individuals to meet those needs in the next 5 years.
That makes total sense. Like, let's say if you're a HR company or something and you want to provide HR services, maybe you can work in the provide metaverse services where you can do a virtual metaverse interview like you did,
Yeah. So there's so many applications. I mean, for real estate agents, you can have you can see a house for people that can't get. So let's say I wanted to buy a house in New Orleans, but I didn't feel like flying to New Orleans because tickets are so expensive. You're like, oh, here's the digital twin of the home I'm selling.
Sure.
Take a walk around it in the metaverse. Oh, see what furniture looks like in that room, right? And then you have a partnership with IKEA, and IKEA gives you their whole database of their furniture, and then now you're throwing IKEA furniture everywhere in your future home, right? So that's oh my god, I should sell this idea. I just thought of that, right?
Yeah. We'll keep it exclusive on this.
I don't know if someone has that already, but that, so those are the type of applications, if you really sit down as a company or business and you just start brainstorming things that doesn't really make sense now, but might make sense in 5-10 years because of the technology available. And then that's my spiel to AV companies and my presentation at InfoComm last year. I was like, I don't think you should do the metaverse right now, but I think everyone should be prepared, especially the technical people, to gain more skills, to then give back into that as well. Is because the metaverse is digitally created, so you still need creative people with digital artist skills and how to use it, right? So when I say it's a business opportunity, it's a workforce opportunity, it's an opportunity to push the limits. It's just endless, as I would say.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't, anyone listening right now, I want to suggest making your own metaverse world, maybe studying and researching. And like you said, every company's gonna have a different
different aspect. I mean, just this week, if you go to chat.openai.com, that's a part of the metaverse because it's artificial intelligence. Play with that. It is so much fun. Or the new trend that's happening on Instagram where people upload their picture and AI creates that digital, right? That's the metaverse. But people don't understand that's part of the metaverse continuum, as we say, because it's artificial intelligence. So it's my goal to make people disconnect metaverse from Facebook. That's my 2023 goal.
Yeah, because people are worried, like Mark Zuckerberg's going to show up in red set or something.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's fun. I mean, even Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the AI they use with all your data is something that they have that they're using with Google Cloud or whatever. But to me, that's part of the metaverse because they're using artificial intelligence by utilizing all the data of the music you listen to and providing an experience at the end of the year on what you did. And then everyone shares it. Like Spotify hit the nail with, hey, we're going to use your data. And then people being like, all right, cool. As long as I get my Wrapped at the end of the year, right? Where a lot of people then complain about, I don't want that company using my data. And then you just see the same person uploading their Wrapped info on Instagram.
Yeah, right.
Like, weren't you a data stickler, right?
How do you know this about me? That's what's crazy too. When I got my Wrapped from this podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was not like this last year. Like, this is really advanced. And it was a whole presentation too. I mean, it was like a movie.
It's amazing what you can do with data, right? And I think that's a shout out to Spotify and then connecting with the Google Cloud team and then selecting them and then giving this product, as I would say, because there's just so much data out there, but I don't feel like going through the data and creating a chart and then creating this. So an artificial intelligent computer can do it for me. And then I can pick and choose what I like, what I don't like, and look at it.
Yeah. And I think they'll add a lot of simplicity to any functional teams from, marketing to, travel companies, whatever.
I mean, marketing, engineering groups, finance groups, business groups, sales groups, right? I think in the future, instead of you emailing the business analyst, hey, can you get me a report on what our sales figures looks like for the last 6 months, and then create a Power BI chart on what it looks like for the next year in terms of sales outputs, and the business analyst and says, all right, give me 2 weeks, I'll get that to you. In the future, You put that in this open chat AI, and
Yeah.
since it's connected to your data, right there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
That's advanced. So going to, I know we're doing a, virtual call right now, but do
Mhm.
you think, like, speaking of like remote work, since COVID, a lot more people are working remotely, which is great. And
Mhm.
they're comfortably, they're kind of not wanting to go back in the office. Do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think
yeah.
the metaverse will kind of open that up for people to work with each other, in
I
the
mean,
world?
that's my hope, but adoption is very slow right now because people
Sure.
aren't comfortable with it, and people just don't like the solutions that are there out right now. So it's up to companies like Accenture to kind of get the feedback from the end users, and then use the feedback to create a better solution that people are willing to do, right? Like, the
Yeah.
only reason I use my headset more now is because I want to get better at softball. So how do I take
Yeah.
that feeling and transfer it into the workplace so people can get together socially, in a virtual environment, and still feel almost similar to going to a social event in the office. I'm not you I you could I'm an extrovert, as naturally as a person, and I
Yeah.
love being in-person events. So in-person
Sure.
events and in-person things will never change. I think the metaverse will give opportunities for people that can't attend those events and
Hmm.
still want to be part of something bigger. It gives them an option. That's what I would say.
That makes sense. Yeah. And even, it's funny, my dad, he's sometimes works remotely, but a couple of
Yeah.
weeks ago flew all the way to Egypt
Yeah.
just for a meeting, just to
'Cause
meet. And he goes, he
yeah.
can't, he says it's not this, he's negotiating in oil. So he
Yeah.
said it's not the same when you do
No.
on Zoom calls or
No.
Microsoft
No.
Teams. He
Yeah.
goes, he
Yeah.
has to still see that person. He goes, it's not the same. I was like, Dad, but yeah, he still preferred to fly all the way to Egypt for like 2 days.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, yeah, that human connection is still needed. But so that's the challenge.
yeah,
How that and no one has solved that yet, and I'm hoping that'll be solved. Is how do you create that general human connection feeling in this virtual environment? Maybe it can happen. It'll never happen, but at least there's technology for us to look into it with our curiosity. But at the end of the day, I would still love to meet people in person, over the metaverse if there was an option, right? But
yeah.
if the metaverse is the only option, and it's the only option that I can get to know someone better and how we can work better together, then I'll go in the metaverse, chat it up, and then see what it's like.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, thank you so much. This is Sharath Abraham. Dude, thank you
Yeah.
for joining me today, talking about these awesome topics. And I hope a lot of people tune in, and kind of, you gave us a lot of, like, kind of crucial information how to understand this more.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, man. Any last words, tips, advice?
No, no, I'm just, I want people to be curious and excited about technology as I am, and then I think in the future everyone should just start Googling more stuff. Just, instead of
Yeah,
just Googling
research.
metaverse, yeah, just do some, or just, you can follow me on Twitter, Sharath Abraham. I tweet about all this stuff all the time. I'm on LinkedIn as well, so if anyone ever wants to just chat or have coffee in the New York City, New Jersey area, happy to do that as well in person.
There we
So
go.
it's fun.
I'll drop it below too on
Yeah.
everything. So.
Then thanks for the invite, man. It was very cool to just chat outside of my normal audio visual world, as I would say. So it's fun.
Yes, sir, man. We'll see you
Yeah.
next time. Take care.
Take it easy. Bye.